right behind. I think what I would like people to know is that we are a part of nature. A lot of times people drive across Canada and they say the prairies are the most boring part of Canada because it's just nothing, it's empty. And we don't realize that the prairies used to be full of bison, grizzly bears, mountain lions, wolves, and where are they today? They're not there. And so if you take away all the nature, it's a lot less interesting. We can have that again, and we're growing a lot of that back now. My name is Ben Campbell. I'm a rancher on Tullichewan Ranch. It's in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, just southwest of Calgary. I grew up on the farm, but I didn't grow up doing farm work or really knowing anything about agriculture. And a friend of mine told me about grazing cattle and grass-fed beef and how it was like good for grass and good for soil and good for the environment. And I never heard of that before, so I thought, sure, I can try that. So I bought 4 beef that year and grazed them on the family farm, and that's how I started, and it grew from there. Load up. The problem with the grasslands is we cultivated up so much of the ground and got rid of so many of the animals that the grasslands are one of the most endangered ecosystems in the world and also one of the least protected. So now we've got more than 70% of grasslands actually totally converted and destroyed. But on top of that, we've lost over 90% of a lot of our grassland species. Cattle, they replaced bison as sort of the engine of the ecosystem. And if you take cattle out of that grassland ecosystem, the whole system starts to die. It's got a cascading effect. So by putting cattle back in and grazing them and managing them in the same way that the bison used to live, that ecosystem is able to cycle and produce life in a really vibrant way. So the cow's gonna come down like this and pull some bites of this grass up, and then she's gonna get this grass in her mouth. And when she gets the grass in, it looks mostly brown, but there's little bits of green inside of there, and the green is really high in energy and protein. And the protein is important. That's used by her gut bacteria to digest the fiber in the grass. And so this is right now totally dormant and not cycling nutrients, and the cattle can come through and cycle, many tens of thousands of pounds of nutrients every day. So what happens with regular grass, if it's not grazed, is it's pulling nutrients out of the ground and putting it above ground into its leaves and body structure, which is great. You want to have that. That's its solar panels and how it collects energy. But then if the grass is just sitting there above ground, what happens is all of those nutrients start to go into the air and they're kind of lost to that system. Whereas if you have cattle grazing them, they're eating them and then they're urinating, defecating, trampling the dirt, and the nutrients go straight back into the ground. The grass that was above ground is now in contact with the soil, or it's been digested, and those nutrients are ready to be cycled and pulled up again. People think the mountains are where wildlife really thrives. And really the reason that we've got so much wildlife in the mountains is just because that was the hardest place to develop for people to live. The Great Plains, that was the easiest to develop, and that got developed first. And so that's why we've got rid of so much of the wildlife, and it's not, the beauty that was there is totally foreign to most people now. Farmers really listen to consumers. If you think that you don't have power as a city person, you have more power, I think, than farmers do, because farmers will produce what people want to buy. And so we're voting with our dollars every day when we buy things. I've always been interested in nature. I've always loved nature and being outside and being a part of it. I thought agriculture was sort of like controlling and mastering nature and a battle against nature, and I didn't realize that it could actually be a partnership and a dance with nature and to really become a part of it. this ranch, I think of it like it's a national park. And to me, it's also got a family of humans. Like, we're a part of this. And I think that feeling of togetherness, of oneness with nature and with where you are is a pretty rewarding, powerful experience.